In this last video for chapter 11, we're going to talk about acid rain. It's kind of our big world picture with acids and bases. So normal rain has a pH of 5.5. So we saw that in an earlier video when we were talking about pH, and rain was on that scale. So this is normal rainwater, no pollution added, naturally is a slightly acidic pH. So why is it slightly acidic? Because carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, which there's plenty of, along with water, which there's also plenty of, naturally mix together to make carbonic acid, H2CO3. So this acid then gets mixed into the rain and makes it have a pH of less than 7. Again, this is a natural process. There's no way to avoid and stop the carbon dioxide mixing with water in the atmosphere. So that's why our rain is naturally acidic. So normal everyday rain, we consider a pH of 5.5. Now if you introduce some kind of pollutant, that can drop the pH even lower, and then we're making acid rain. So what we have in the atmosphere as well are what we call acid anhydrides. So acid anhydrides are molecules that will form an acid when they combine with water. So by themselves, they are not acid, but if they come into contact with water, they will react and form an acid. So SOx, NOx, and carbon dioxide are all acid anhydrides. So we already saw how the carbon dioxide reacts with water to make an acid. SOx and NOx, the reason we put an X here is it could be a variety of numbers. So for example, SO2, SO3, NO2. So here are the reactions that show how these three combine with water to make acid. So SO2 actually reacts with oxygen in the air to make SO3. Then SO3 that's made from the SO2, as well as other SO3 that's already in the atmosphere, react with water to make H2SO4, which is sulfuric acid. NO2 reacts with water to make HNO3 or nitric acid, as well as NO. NO can react with oxygen in the atmosphere to make more NO2, which then in turn makes more nitric acid. So these SOx, we call these SOx and NOx, if you've ever heard those terminologies before, as well as extra CO2 that's not just naturally in the atmosphere, produced from coal plants. So SO2, NO2 are pollutants that are released into the atmosphere whenever we burn coal. So the acid rain definition is rainwater that has a pH less than normal rain, meaning less than 5.5. So again, if you say your rainwater has a pH of 5.5, that is not acid rain. That's just our normal rain based on the natural CO2 that's in the atmosphere. But any additional CO2 or other pollutants in the atmosphere that bring that pH below 5.5 produce the acid rain. So acid rain can have some harmful effects on the environment. We can get deforestation. So plant life does not like to have water that has a pH of less than the normal rain, 5.5. Having extra acid in rivers and lakes also kills wildlife. So fish and other aquatic things cannot live if the water is too acidic. And then if you have any kind of statues that are exposed to rain, especially those that are made of limestone, for example, you can lose the details, kind of washes them away. So a little bit more with limestone. So limestone is rock that's naturally around. We have a lot in this area especially. It's what makes our water so hard, but it's also a good thing. So limestone is basic. We saw that with the antacids earlier. I said calcium carbonate, which was one of the antacids, is limestone, and we see that here in this equation. But it neutralizes the acid rain. So here we're going to represent acid rain with just hydronium, just a kind of generic acid. Calcium carbonate is our limestone. If those two mix, this is the neutralization reaction again, but it's with a weak base, we do get the water, we get our calcium ions, and we also make CO2. So this does do some neutralizing. However, if we think back to the reactions we just saw, we're making CO2 and water. Those two are going to combine to make carbonic acid, which is going to lower our pH again, so not overly helpful. And we also make calcium, which is what makes our hard water. So we get some neutralization, but the byproducts of that are not necessarily helpful either. So here's the end of chapter 11 with the learning objectives. So make sure that after you've watched all of the videos, you can answer these questions and meet these learning objectives on the right.